I wanted to talk very briefly about my experience with decaf and roasting decaf coffee. I'm a home roaster and typically have not roasted much in the way of decaf coffee up until a few years ago. What happened was I had a few friends who needed decaf, so I would actually go out to online sites and buy some decaf coffee for them as presents. And once in a while I would sample that coffee, and I can honestly say I wasn't really that impressed with the coffee itself. It all seemed to be really kind of dull and over roasted. But eventually things changed. I had to start roasting decaf for my sister because of her doctor's orders. She had problems with interaction between caffeinated coffee and some medication. So I tried buying decaf green coffee from several sources and eventually settled on Sweet Maria's because they kind of pioneered the idea of getting high quality green coffee and then shipping it out to get it processed into decaf. And this video of James Hoffman's, I'll have a link to it in the description. It's a very nice summary of the history of decaf and has some interesting ideas. Unfortunately, what I discovered when I started roasting decaf for my sister was my coffee wasn't all that great either. I spent a few years experimenting before I came up with a way to get better roasts. And this was sparked by a discussion I read somewhere years ago about the concept of a melange roast, which means take the same coffee and roast it to several different roast levels. So since I found the decaf coffee to be kind of boring, by having different roast levels and then blending them together before I actually then turn that into coffee, I can definitely say the coffee was much better and much more interesting. So I'm using the newest version of the Hot Top and also using the Artisan roasting software. And it has some features which are extremely useful for kind of simplifying this process. Specifically, I can have buttons designed in the software that allow me to open and close the door to eject some of the coffee while it's roasting, and then I can close the door back up again and continue roasting what's still in the roaster. So that's kind of an easy way to get the multiple roast levels without going through multiple roasts of the same coffee, which of course is the simplest of all ways to do this. So anyway, I was using a manual process where I had notes and it was like, wait until I get here and then click this button and then set a timer, and then when that goes off, do something else. And it was an extremely tedious and error-prone process. At the end of 2023, I decided it was time to try to get a little bit fancier and learn more about how the Artisan alarms work so I could potentially automate this process. And I did finally succeed after a lot of trial and error. So I'll explain how to do that in the next video.